Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anime Club After Dark, the podcast that delves into all things anime, manga, and otaku culture related. I'm your host, Alex, but you can call me Senpai, and joining me tonight, I have our Wizard of Wait What, Shinoda.
I wonder what the optimal cooking temperature for kids are.
Oh, God. No. And our Chivalry of Shotaro.
Oh,
What?
No, I was gonna say you want to explain that, but just no.
what is there to explain? It's how I communicate.
It's pretty close, yes. All right, so tonight on the podcast, we are going to be doing a spoiler cast for an anime that aired during the winter of 2019 called The Promised Neverland. So I think it's pretty safe to say that all of us here really enjoyed this anime. But I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think any of us that are here read the source material before it aired, correct?
No.
Yeah.
Has
no,
anyone
I
read
haven't
it?
Checked it out.
Has anyone read it at all?
Probably John.
I haven't read it. Well, John probably has, but I haven't read it yet. But I kind of do want to read it now. But I'm not sure if I really want to. I'll talk about that later. But the point of me asking was, since none of us had actually read the source material for this anime going in, I'm curious, did any of us have any expectations going into it? Because I certainly didn't. I went into it with zero expectations whatsoever.
Well, I've heard of the manga like a while ago. I don't know how long, maybe 6 months to a year ago or something. And the concept sounded really interesting. And I really wanted to read it, but then I just didn't because I'm a lazy bitch. So I was expecting a lot. Just from it was a high concept. It was a concept with a lot to build off of, so I was expecting a lot.
The
What
only
about
thing,
you, Shinoda?
the only thing I knew about it was like when we did our initial the preview cast we did last for the previous season, and I was like, oh, this looks cool. They're probably experimenting on the kids or something, and yeah, wasn't expecting where they took it, but I'm pleased with it. So yeah.
Yeah. I tried to go in with as little expectations as possible. That way I couldn't be too terribly let down if it ended up being terrible. But I do know it was, at least for the winter season, one of the most hyped anime going into it. It's certainly one of the ones that was getting the most talk about before the season started. Probably that and Mob Psycho 100 were probably the two most talked up anime of winter 2019. Maybe that along with Kaguya-sama. But I tried to forestall my expectations just because there was so much hype going into it, and I know that hype can be a very, very bad thing when you go into it. That being said, I was pleasantly surprised from the get-go. Like, from the word go, it just completely shocked me how good this was. Now, having not read the source material, I can't speak to how good the adaptation is. But I do know that just from the word go, it had me hooked. Like, that first episode, I don't think they could have done that first episode any better.
It's a pretty good episode. Honestly, I'm kind of skipping ahead of myself, though. But the format that the first episode had, where it's like slow, calming build-up, and then crazy cliffhanger at the end, and you're like, where am I going? What is happening? That formula they used a lot, multiple times, and I kind of got tired of it by the end.
Oh yeah, the overuse perhaps of cliffhangers.
And like not only that, but like during the actual episode, like the bulk of the episode, they're talking so slowly, and then it's like such a chill atmosphere. Like everything is going so slowly, and then at the very end, it's like all the stakes go up, and like everything happens so quickly, and I'm like, ugh, why do you do this?
Like, everything goes from being on 1 to getting immediately turned up to 11.
It was the stylistic choice of it, and I can see where it's a bit irritating. I enjoyed it personally, but I do see where you're coming from. I feel though the first episode they could have like stopped hinting at the fact that, oh, something is about to happen. Like they could have made it less obvious just to drop in the surprise even heavier.
Yeah, I was gonna bring this up because one of the things that happens in the first episode is, Connie gets adopted, quote unquote, and then you find out what that means to get adopted from Grace Fieldhouse is you fucking die. Now that whole throughout the entire episode, as you suggested, show like it feels really chill until you get to that point. It's like something's about to happen. Like you got that feeling that something's about to happen. And I knew the second she left that house, she was gonna die. I didn't foresee the whole demon aspect of it, but I knew she was gonna die. And I'm curious, did either of you actually feel like she was gonna die when she left that house? And if so, do you think that her death was way too easy to foresee?
Easily. I like the moment they basically introduced to her, like it was like they made very obvious shots about it. The her laughing, just shots on her lingering just a second too long. They were blatantly advertising, hey, this kid right here, right over here, you see this cute little kid? Totally gonna die. And I'm like, yo, come on, like, it's really freaking obvious that
Stop
some shit's about to
manipulating my
happen.
emotions.
It's like, no, they were being way too blatant about it, and I'm like, eh. So, like, when that actually happened to Connie, I was like, eh, whatever. Like, you were blatant about it. I don't really care. Like, it was a shock, sure, like, how and everything, but, like, they were too blatant about it. How about you, Sho? What did you think?
I don't think I really saw it coming, but I don't think I really cared.
Wow.
Because like, okay, but in the synopsis of the show, it says that there's a dark secret, so I was expecting it to get there to be a dark turn. I
Well,
was
that's
just
the thing. That's
yeah,
the
I was
child
just
getting
curious
killed
is
what
pretty dark.
what specifically that was going to entail, not like if it was going to happen, because I knew it was going to happen. Just want to know.
So you knew
what-
something bad was about to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. If I had one criticism of the first episode, that's the only thing. It's like just the way that they lingered on Connie in that episode, and they made it very, very obvious that this child was not going to be around for much longer. And they kind of play with your emotions, like you should really get emotionally invested in this so you can be shocked. And of course, it was shocking. The shock to me came more so with the introduction of the demons than the fact that Connie gets killed. Like that was more of a shock.
Yeah.
To me, at least.
No, I have to absolutely agree. Like, they were absolutely horrifying, and they were the real surprise there. Not the fact that the kid was gonna die. That was just plain obvious, honestly. No, the demons. That's the real surprise.
I honestly didn't find any of that first episode surprising or shocking. Like, what's so shocking about the demons? I don't understand. But what
They
I
are
did,
pretty grotesque in appearance.
they weren't. They were like not even gross.
They weren't gross, but it was the more creepy aspects of it, I feel he's referring to.
I didn't find it
The
that
fact
creepy.
that their eyes kind of swirl around like a fucking owl's head
Oh
just
my
really
God.
creeped me out a little bit. I won't lie.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well,
Like, they don't have any out there characteristics. They don't, like, they aren't necessarily extremely demonic in a more traditional sense that we can think of, but they did still have aspects that were entirely out there, is the thing. And what little they did show was executed rather well, in my opinion.
I do think that was a good idea, though, not to show them too much, because then I think the more you know about them is probably for the worse, because, like, introduce little bits about them as the story progresses. Don't introduce them all at once and then tell exposize everything to me about them all at once. I like the fact that they spoon-fed you stuff about the demons.
Yeah, gave us little
little
morsels
bits at a
here
time.
and there.
Also, I don't know if this was intentional, but I kind of found it personally entertaining. And I don't know if I'm the only one who thinks this, but every time that they actually did show the demons to me, like when they're speaking to each other, they come off as really posh. I don't know if it's like the way that they look or the way that they talk. I don't know. There's something that's very posh about them.
Well, we
Not in a
know
good
for
way, though.
certain, based off the whole what we were told, that there is a society based on them, and there is a hierarchy, and Like the very first demon we saw, the very first two demons we saw were the more enforcers, brutes, just servant types, and then there was the third one we saw immediately was higher up than them, and they made it obvious in the tone of voice they used, the demon's style. It was obvious, and then after the fact, they actually told us later, yeah, there's a society. The higher grade meat is meant for the higher grade demons.
Yeah. I just I don't know what it is. It just they seem so posh when they're talking to each other. Like I can imagine them sitting around sipping tea with their pinkies out. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for a villain, but that's my impression of them.
I wonder if their tea is just blood or something.
Oh my god. let's not go there.
I
This
want to
child's
know
blood
more
is
about
spoiled.
these demons and what they have. They sound like
This
fun
child's
people.
blood is spoiled. Bring me a girl's blood. Okay, so that brings me to another question that I have is, as the story progressed, it became really difficult for me to tell who was actually supposed to be the quote-unquote villain of the story. Is it the demons? Is it the mothers who run the farms? Is it both? Is it neither? Is there another, like, overarching villain that we're going to see later on? Who is it? Who's the real villain? I don't know.
I'm not sure because like they didn't. It wasn't a traditional setup. It was moreover kids versus the world type of thing, or perhaps society because it seems this what's set up as a society is the most villainistic of them all. I think it might be more up to personal interpretation. What do you think, Sho?
Well, I think narratively it was the one mother. What was it? Isabella.
Yeah.
That was the
Isabella.
villain because she was the source of direct conflict for the story. But like
Yeah,
in
for
general,
at least for the first season.
Yeah, no, definitely she was the main villain first season, but yeah, no. I suppose there is that differentiation, like first season versus overall.
Yeah. Well, I mean, clearly the demons themselves are pulling the strings. Otherwise, why would anyone be doing this? But then you have to ask the question, why is anyone just going along with this? I mean, there has to be
Well-
some kind of payoff, right?
what do you mean? Wait, who's
I mean,
going along
the-
with this?
The mothers.
Well, there is no payoff. The payoff is that they don't die.
That is true. I guess to some people that might be enough of a payoff.
That isn't that what
I
she
know.
said? That's literally her justification. She was like,
It is. It,
I
just,
can-
it makes me wonder.
she was like, I
just
can
makes me wonder
pretend
if
to
there's
have
more.
a happy life and live a life that I can pretend is happy, or I can die. I chose to pretend that I'm happy and live. That was her literal justification.
Yeah, I know. I'm just wondering if there even is any other payoff besides getting to live, and if that makes it worthwhile, or if that makes the people who decide to become mothers just more evil than the demons themselves because they're willing to go along with it.
But then again, when you don't have when you're just doing it for survival, is it truly evil?
That's another thing, and we've talked about this on the podcast before about like it speaks to the human nature of, you know, when your back's against the wall, you sometimes do absolutely terrible things in order to survive.
It goes into the whole mentality of, oh, we were just given orders.
Yeah, we were just following orders, and how many travesties in human history have been caused because of that? I think there's something to be said that like this is partially what the story might be about, especially going forward. That's like it's a bunch of people that are just have their backs against the wall and trying to survive, and for lack of a better term, they're just trying to follow orders.
I am interested in seeing how this society, how the farms got set up in the first place. I really hope they explore that in the coming seasons, because
Well,
like it's interesting. Like for all that to happen, something must have happened.
And I also wonder, it's like these farms were in the area where Graysfield House is. There's what, 6 of them?
Well,
That can't be all that there is. Like that may be all there is in this area, but that can't be all there is in the entire world.
Well, that's the
well,
thing. We don't know how big the outside world is.
We
Like,
don't. We don't
like
even know if this takes place on Earth.
yeah, exactly. Like, we don't know if the demons necessarily rule the entire world, or if they just have a certain amount of land and humans under control. Like, we don't have enough information is the thing. So we can only guess
yeah.
and speculate.
I mean, technically the farm is self-sustainable, so they don't really need like a huge infrastructure to support it. They could just be living off on their own.
They could. I don't think they're living completely isolated though.
Why not?
They
have to get
they were
food from
given
somewhere.
supplies.
Yeah, they have to get food from somewhere at least.
They could
Like
farm it.
they could definitely no. Like, it's entirely possible for it to be
Oh yeah,
self-site.
I'm not saying it's impossible.
Yeah, but like we were shown that they don't have anything like that necessarily set up, so they do get deliveries on the regular.
True.
I also feel like the physical layout of the farm indicates that at some point in the past another successful escape was had. I think that's why there's a dugout cliff around the entire facility.
Oh
It
yeah,
just
there
seems
there
like
must have
they-
things. There must have been things that's happened so many times, because we see a lot of safety measures that have taken place over. Like, you don't just do all that at once as a precaution. You make mistakes and you learn from them, and that's
Yeah, I
why
mean,
we've seen
there's
so
so
many
many
different
things.
things. Yeah.
There's so many things that suggest that, like the tracking devices, the giant wall, the fact that there's a fucking cliff that's been dug out in the perimeter of these farms, that it's
Hidden
cliff
doors in the house.
hidden doors in the house, the fact that this cliff face is too wide to jump across, and is so deep that if you fell, you would instantly die once you hit the bottom.
Also,
There's so many things that suggest that escape was something that was happening somewhat regularly in the past.
I mean, also, I felt like the safety measures were kind of like super convenient. Like, oh, we can see, we have tracking devices on all the people, but we don't know which person it specifically is on the tracking device. I'm like,
Yeah,
if you're gonna
we know
install
it's a
a fucking
child.
tracking device, then why aren't you gonna like have a specific code for it? So stupid.
Like an ID tag
Yeah,
or something.
give each device a different differentiating ID. Like, it's really not that hard. Even something
that did
that's
seem
small.
a little. That did seem a little convenient. Also, the fact that there's no cameras anywhere apparently.
Yeah, and like,
Yeah, I
no
want to call
audio.
BS on that. Like, there's no way in hell.
Also, I'd like to know when exactly this story takes place, because when they're going through like the books and shit early on in the story, the children are going through the books. The books, like the copyrights on the books seem to suggest it's like late 2010s, but yet there's a calendar that clearly says it's 2045.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, neither
Yeah.
did I, actually.
So, and I'm even wondering if there's like a different calendar system inside like the farms to make the children think that it's earlier than it is, because I have a suspicion that it might actually be further into the future than 2045.
It's quite possible. Like, the entire place was set up to manipulate them, so why not? Like, make sure you feed the children false information as well, just in case. It makes
Yeah.
sense.
Also, how does one woman raise 20 children? Like, girl, how do you do that?
Let me tell you
Well,
something.
they
There
were
are
trained for that. So
There are two-parent households that can barely raise a single child,
Oof.
much less a single parent that can raise 20.
Well, I guess it is her job, her full-time job, but still, like, you need more. Like, what if two babies need the diaper changed at the exact same time? How you gonna do that, girl?
I'm just thinking of just keeping an eye on 20 children at the same time is hard enough, even with the tracking device.
Yeah,
God,
I don't
that'd
know
be
how they
such
do
a
that.
nightmare.
You know why?
Mm-hmm.
It's because Isabella is secretly a demon. That's how she can do it. It's my hashtag.
Whoa.
Actually,
prediction.
that'd be a hell of a twist.
Whoa.
That'd be a hell of a twist. Because then, oh man, that would explain a lot though. Because I thought that Ray's infantile amnesia thing was sort of a Deus Ex Machina.
It was a complete Deus Ex Machina. Are you shitting me?
But when it was revealed that he was actually Isabella's biological child, and if Isabella is a demon, or at least part demon, or in some way, maybe that could explain a lot more.
Oh yeah, that would make sense.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Then he would
I
have
felt
better
that's
memory.
stretching it, though.
Oh my god, then you can have like a shonen power up and be like half demon and then like use superpowers.
Oh
Or
my
maybe
God.
it's just the intellect thing. I don't know. But I thought that was an interesting thing they brought up, the infantile amnesia thing, because it's actually something that really happens in real life. Like 99.9% of people have no memory of things before they were like 3 years old, because your brain like immediately wipes those memories out. But there is a very, very small minority of people that can actually, there's some people that can actually remember being in their mother's womb and being born.
Girl, don't you wish you can't remember that?
I'm very glad that most people can't, because I have a feeling that people that actually have those memories do not have a great time thinking about them. But it is a thing that actually happens, and I thought, it's sort of a Deus Ex Machina, but it is at least biologically feasible.
I guess.
So it is
I
a
thought
thing.
that was
It's not
interesting.
just based on something they pulled out of their ass. So it
Yeah,
is pretty neat.
Infantile amnesia is a real thing. Most people, 99.9% of people suffer from it, but there is this very, very small percentage that can actually remember things like being born, being in their mother's womb, things like that. But I thought that was an interesting thing to pull in. I also think that the way it was done made it feel like a Deus Ex Machina, although it could be setting up something further down the line that we don't know about yet. So speaking of the children, I want to actually ask this question. With all the planning and backstabbing and all the other shit that goes on, do the children, and I use that term loosely in the story, do they act believable as child characters?
Not the
Because
older
I don't
ones.
think so.
The
older
The
ones-
little tiny ones, yeah, but the Emma and her gang,
Ray and Norman?
no.
Yeah, like they told us they're geniuses, and I'm like, sure, but that only takes it so far. Like, these kids are really fucking out there. Like, they are out thinking so many things, making plans like it's nobody's
Yeah,
business.
okay.
And I'm like, what the hell?
Okay, Norman's plan where it's like, I can see the future, I know exactly what's gonna happen, and I made a very precise plan to, like, oh, they think we're gonna do this because that's the obvious plan, so we're gonna do the plan B that's like outthinking the obvious. And I'm like, girl, adults can't even come up with these plans. How is this tiny child coming up with this plan? This makes it's so complicated.
Yeah, I it's almost like they're making them act more mature than their ages would suggest, and maybe that has something to do with something else in the plot that we're going to learn later in the story. Like, I have this theory, I don't know if it's right or not, but I have a theory that the way that they're replenishing their supply of children is through some kind of synthetic birthing process.
Wait, no, didn't they literally show that the moms give birth? I thought
They show that the moms give birth at least once.
But I thought that like collectively all the moms together would be enough to sustain the farm.
Oh, no way.
maybe-
There is no way.
Maybe there's moms that don't actually run farms, and all they do is birth children.
Yeah, because like that classroom of moms was a lot. I feel like you all give birth, but then after you give birth, only the good ones become moms. I don't know.
Maybe.
I think
There's a
it's
lot of
moreover, like, those who qualify for it becomes moms, but everyone who did do the class gives birth anyways, just to keep up the sustainable levels.
Yeah, but like why else would they give birth other than to sustain the farm?
Well, it is suggested multiple times throughout the story, especially from Sister Crona, that there is like an actual society outside the walls, like of full-grown adults and demons, and like there is an actual society out there that is being lived in. It's implied. We never see it, obviously, but it's implied that there is.
What does that have to do with giving birth?
Maybe they take some of the children from that society and send them to the farms.
It's
No,
entirely
but I'm
possible.
saying like, why would the demons make the moms give birth? Like, what is the purpose of that other than to sustain the farm?
I
Just
I feel
to
like that's
get
so
them.
unnecessary unless they're sustaining the farm
I
that
feel
way.
like that's a question that's going to be answered next season.
It might
If you
be.
say
This
so.
is just me speculating here, but when a woman does give birth, when they go through pregnancy and give birth, their brain structure and how everything works for them actually does change, and this is a
That's
inherently
true.
genetic thing. It might be because of that. They want the women to change and actually be a mother so that they have the instincts to protect the kids that they're raising and to raise them right. Even if
That's
they
true.
know,
Most
like, yeah, they're gonna die eventually, doesn't matter. They want they don't want just like, it's like just having some random person raising a child versus a mother raising a child. There is a difference. A mother will
yeah.
inherently know.
I mean,
Okay.
I get what he's saying, and he is right that when a vast majority of women, when they actually get pregnant and give birth, um, they have this sort of, for lack of a better term, maternal instinct that kicks into overdrive, and they have a really strong desire to protect children. Not necessarily just their child, but obviously mostly their child, but all children. That could also very much explain why all of the people who run the farms are women.
Yeah. Now, that's just a speculative theory on my part, but I feel it rather makes sense. And until they say something otherwise, like, that's all we got to go with?
Men aren't good parents.
Whoa. Whoa, you fucking sexist.
Anime
Wow.
Club After Dark does not condone shows sexist attitudes.
That's what you guys said, not me.
No, I didn't say
We
that.
never
I just said
said
that
that.
women have maternal
Whoa.
instincts.
Okay, girl.
But are we all at least in agreement that some of these plans and stuff that the children come up with are a little too advanced for their age?
It's so fucking
Yes.
extra. Like, maybe
Yeah.
if they showed off the fact that they really were geniuses instead of, like, one test that we saw one time they do, like, maybe I'd find it a bit more believable, but they really didn't show it off. They didn't establish it really well in the beginning, so
Yeah.
I find it hard to believe. Yeah.
I mean, they heavily imply that at the very least, Norman, Ray, and Emma are very high IQ.
I don't think
Yeah,
they were
like, they
supposed
straight
to.
up tell us that.
I don't think they were supposed to be geniuses. They're just like intelligent. They're just
Yeah.
smart, but they're not like crazy smart. But they act crazy
they're-
smart.
No, they act a little reckless sometimes, so crazy might be apt. But yeah, I just thought that some of the plans they were coming up with were a little more mature than their age would suggest. Of course, maybe that has something to do with, I don't know, how they might be born. I don't know.
Also, Norman, in particular, was way too emotionally mature. Like,
For
literally,
a
he
12-year-old.
he could handle like any situation, and he's like, "I have my emotions in check. I will sacrifice my emotions for the greater good." I'm like, girl, calm down.
Which I know that there are some people that can't. I very much remember being 12 years old and very much remember never being in control of my emotions. Going into my room, stuffing my face in my pillow and crying. I remember that very much. Control of my emotions, bullshit.
What a sad
Yeah,
childhood.
I agree. Yeah, I know. I did.
Oh no.
We won't go into it. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't think that a 12-year-old really be that in control. I could see it maybe for sometimes being in control of your emotions, but not all the time. But going on from mothers to sisters, I want to talk about Sister Crona for a second. The way that she was kind of like a here today, gone tomorrow kind of character, where she was just kind of there, and then she seemed like she was going to serve some grand purpose of the narrative going forward, and then she was gone, and the only purpose that she seemed to serve was to be like an info dump. once she got once the children got her trust.
She essentially seemed like an exposition machine.
Yeah, she was an info dump.
She was so out of place. She was so like way too weirdly crazy. Like
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love
show,
that part about her.
Oh my god. But the tone of the show was like so creepy, and then she comes in, she's like, "Wow!" And I'm like, "Oh my god, when did this become like a fucking comedy?"
I will say it kind of does go to show that the world that they live in is kind of crazy and can probably produce some crazy motherfuckers. But I think that they probably could have utilized her a little better. I think it may have been a mistake long run to just kill her off unsummarily. Although if her purpose was just to be an info dump about the outside world, she did serve that purpose.
Like, she served her purpose. I enjoyed what we got of her. I just felt they could have executed it better. Not her, just her purpose. How she was executed was pretty funny.
Ahaha, very funny. You're so punny. I think she also served a good purpose of making Isabella seem more of a bad, cold-blooded bitch.
Yeah.
I did love that. Like,
yeah.
They really ramped up how manipulative and how much further Isabella sees with when comparing her to sister Crona, and I was like, damn. God damn.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you have evil and then evilist. It's like, okay. I will say one thing, and this may be controversial, so hold on to your hats. I was very surprised, given the time we live in, where everyone wants to call out everything about absolutely everything. I'm really surprised that no one ever mentioned the fact that the way that Sister Crona is portrayed, and I'm speaking very specifically about how her character design is, that no one ever said that might be racist.
The whole crazy black lady?
Crazy black lady with big lips.
Yeah, like the physical character design was also...
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The physical character design of her is very, very, almost vaudevillian black stereotype. I was surprised that seeing as how everyone is so gung-ho about calling everything out for being racist, sexist, bigoted, or homophobic. I'm really surprised that no one ever mentioned that, and I kept looking for it. I'm thinking, well, eventually someone's going to say something, and then I never saw anything.
Yeah, I was actually rather surprised about that as well.
I will say to all the people out there who watch this and didn't do that, thank you. You are a credit to the industry.
Wait, what does that mean?
What the fuck? What?
Are you supporting racist caricatures?
No, it means that I'm happy people aren't just willy-nilly calling shit out because they feel like it.
Girl, I feel like that in itself is a contradictory opinion. But unfortunately, I think that racist caricatures of black people are more common in anime than I would like. So like it's not a surprise. Like I've seen it a lot.
I mean, I wasn't particularly surprised by the portrayal. I'm just really I'm more surprised by the fact that no one said anything. And it's fair to I think it's fair to point out that there are very few black people in Japan.
I think maybe it's because people just didn't care about her character enough, possibly.
What was I thinking?
I don't know.
What I thought of?
Maybe.
Yeah, what's up, show?
There was a black character in Run with the Wind, the only black character, and he was just like Crona with stereotypical black features. So it's just so common. Just like it happens so often.
And I never heard anything about that either. Of course, I haven't seen Run with the Wind. Is it worth watching?
It's very monotonous.
Okay. So it's an anime.
And more specifically, it's a sports anime.
All right. So I have to ask. We've kind of
on that topic. Like the dark-skinned children didn't look stereotypically non-Japanese. So, but it was only Crona.
No.
I found interesting.
I'm also not convinced that the other dark-skinned children weren't black and may have been like maybe allegedly Southeastern Asian, or perhaps Indian, or Middle
Honestly,
Eastern.
I don't think most of the characters or any of the characters were Asian. I think, especially because of the names. They were
Yeah, the names were
either,
very Western.
I feel like they were like European for the white ones and like African or South American for the non-white ones. But I don't know. That's just what I think.
Yeah,
It's what it definitely seemed like.
But you definitely make a good point that none of the other dark-skinned children were portrayed as caricatures, which is interesting. And maybe the reason there wasn't any kind of hoopla about it, maybe Shona might actually be right, that she was kind of here today, gone tomorrow. It's like no one really cared about her that much. I don't know.
Made a big scene when she came in, though.
She stomped around a lot when she came in. She made a lot of noise, but then she was gone. I don't know.
Hell, I wonder if
really
that's
weird.
racist in itself. Okay,
All right, we
I'm
need
not
to
going
move
to
on
open
from
this
this.
can of worms.
No, we need to move on from this before we legitimately get in trouble. So we already kind of talked about this a little bit, or touched on it at least. The big, I won't say necessarily the big twist at the end, but it was certainly a twist at the end, was finding out that Ray was Isabella's actual biological child.
Oh my god, that twist. I did not see it coming. Holy shit.
See, I thought there was something more between her and him, between Isabella and Ray, but I didn't realize that it was going to be that they were mother and son.
Like, how they executed it as well. Like, he just reveals, oh yeah, I can remember stuff all the way from back then. And then at the end of the episode, it's like, yeah, bye, Mom. And like the fact that they
That's so fucking
revealed it through
creepy.
him humming a song, and when she's like, "Where the fuck did you hear that?" and he just smiles, I was like, "What?" I don't know, that whole thing. I was like, "Yo," it caught me off guard, and I was like, "Okay, legitimate twist." I loved it. Completely caught me off guard. Like, they hinted at the I mean, like, they've been telling us he's been a plant since forever, but we didn't actually know why. We could only take a guess, but then they revealed it, and it's because of that. And it speaks to the fact that Isabella does have a caring heart in her own twisted way still.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fact that at the very end she like literally lets her hair down and you see her for what she is, and like she's thought about doing exactly what the children are doing right now before.
Like, she legit was about to do it too, but she got caught.
Yeah. So
And
I mean,
I'm just
it's almost
gonna interject real quick and say Isabella with her hair down. Oh god, damn,
here we
that's
go.
a milf. Oh, oh.
What do you mean?
I don't even think she's that old, Shinoda. I don't even think she's 30 years old.
But
So
you don't have age has nothing to do with your MILF.
I suppose.
yeah,
candidacy.
exactly. I'm like, let me tell you. Oh. Anyways, go on, please.
Anyway,
I'm
I
a
don't even know
cultured
how to
man,
move on
okay?
from that.
She looks
You're
better
what?
with her hair up. What are you talking
No,
about?
fuck
Oh
you.
my
Her hair
God.
down looks
She
way
looks
better.
like Samara with her hair down. I'll
Samara.
fucking climb up a well and fucking drag you into the television.
Oh, her. No, hell no. What are you
Good
talking
lord.
about? She looks crazy good with her hair down.
Girl, first of all, she needs to condition before she lets it down. Because that thing was a mess.
Can I just move us slightly back on topic here and say
Okay, fine.
the
We
whole
can
point
judge
of
them.
me bringing this up, was to point out that she's been in the exact situation that the children find themselves in now, and it's almost like it's coming full circle for her. I actually genuinely wonder what's going to happen to her going forward, because I can't imagine that the demons are going to just let her off the hook for this.
Like,
I
they'll
think
be
that-
pissed, but at the same time, they've told us she produces the most most highest quality material from her farm, and that's specifically from her work. So maybe she will get a pass, even though she lost out on some of the highest grade meats that they had. Like, who knows is the thing. Like, on one hand, she produced results. On the other hand, she fucked up big.
I think
Yeah.
she's gonna survive. Maybe she'll get demoted to sister or something. I don't know. But I think that her mental motivations have changed because I think she was so fucked up into imagining her fantasy of living a happy life and then killing them off was only because she thought escape was impossible. But now that she's seen it's possible, I think she might collaborate with Emma in breaking out everyone else.
Whoa.
That might be like have a mole on the inside.
Honey,
Yeah.
she has a mole on the inside of her cheek too.
That's very true. Thank you for that. I will say something that happened at the end that made me go like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Both Emma and Ray cut off their ears with the tracking devices in them. I wanted to just strangle him. It's like, you didn't have to cut off the whole ear, just the part with the tracking device in it.
And like the thing is, they didn't even have to cut off both their ears, like just one of them.
Okay, I was so confused. No. I was confused, but I figured it out.
Good job.
Okay, wait. They did have to cut off their whole ear because the thing was wasn't the thing implanted like at the base?
I thought it was in the lobe and up through the cartilage.
Girl.
So they didn't even have to cut off the whole ear, just the outside of it.
Yeah, well, whatever.
I don't know. It's really weird to say we're gonna go out into the wild now, but there's a big gaping wound on the side of both of our heads.
Yeah, and
This isn't gonna get infected at all.
That's what I'm about to say. Like, they're rummaging in the woods trying to survive. Like, that thing's gonna be infected so fucking quick. They're gonna almost die within the first 2 days easily.
Don't worry, girl. Emma has a note from Norman explaining how to treat ear wounds because he clearly knows everything.
Probably. That also leads me to another question I have. I don't think Norman is dead.
No, me neither.
Yeah, that surprise. Like, they normally killed. It seems like they killed the kids in the hallway, but instead they took Norman into a waiting area or something, and he was surprised when when the door opened. Why? What was there? What happened? We don't know yet. Is he?
I don't know,
Did they
but-
recruit him to be part of the program instead of killing him
Did
off?
he become a
because he's
father?
Oh, exactly. Like, there's so
Gender
many
reassignment
possibilities.
surgery?
I don't think he's dead. I agree with you.
I don't think he's dead. I think that there's way too much foreshadowing that he's actually still going to be alive. To what capacity, I don't know. Maybe they recruited him to become a father, because, I mean, obviously, if these mothers are getting pregnant, they have to get pregnant from someone.
I think Norman was like the nicest of all the characters this show, so then
They're
has
gonna
to become
corrupt him so
yeah,
hard.
he has to
and
become
make
the
him,
villain next time.
Oh my
the
god,
second
I would be
season.
so hyped. That'd be
That'd
so
be That'd be a huge turnabout where Isabella becomes an ally and then Norman becomes the villain. That'd be a huge turnabout.
I'd
But
fully welcome it.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it would certainly be a heck of a twist that I look forward to seeing if it's true. So I do want to talk about. I wasn't even going to bring this up until you reminded me.
Before we move on, I'm just gonna say that I'm surprised that the show actually ended with them escaping, because literally the pace at which the show was going, like around episode, like around the halfway point, I was like, there is no fucking way they're gonna escape. And then oh my god, was it the last episode where they showed the calendar and it was just like X and all the days? I'm like, what is happening? How are you skipping ahead so far? And I'm like, oh my god, we didn't really talk about this, but at the very end, it was everything happened so quickly. They skipped ahead so fast. Like, everything was I felt it was too clustered, and it happened way too fast.
You think they
Yeah,
should have
I
spaced it
agree.
out a
I
bit
feel-
more?
I feel like that maybe some material was skipped over in the source material. I could certainly see it happening as to why, like, they had that scene where you see like 3 months go by like that, like snap of
I'm
the
like,
fingers
what the?
and 3 months have gone by.
I was so blown aback. I'm like, holy shit, the calendar's flipping away. But yeah.
But also, you had Emma's broken leg, and that has to heal. That broken leg typically takes at least 3 months to heal, at least relatively properly.
Yeah, but like they could have been doing things in those month period.
True. I mean, partially, I'm thinking that partially the fact that it's getting a second season might have something to do with that. I don't know. But yeah, I thought that the last 2 to 3 episodes are way faster paced than everything else.
It's a little too much for me. They were good episodes, but like too much.
So I wasn't even going to bring this up until you had reminded me, Show, but about halfway through, I think it was like either maybe week 4 or 5. I think it was week 5, around episode 5's airing. The execrable association known as PETA in the United States, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, came out with an absolutely ridiculous assertion that the Promised Neverland is supposed to be a metaphor for free-range farming. I want to say that's bullshit.
Like, thanks for comparing us to animals. Like, you fucking traitors to the species.
I don't even know why PETA felt like they had a need to get in on this idea. Like why? Okay, first off, you're gonna fucking insult and belittle a dead man on his birthday, and now you're gonna go after fucking weebs. Okay.
Oh, that's a separate issue.
Yeah, PETA. Well, right before this happened, PETA went after Steve Irwin on his fucking birthday, and it's like, no, just leave a dead man alone, please.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna, regardless of PETA's reputation in general, I thought that the assertion that they brought up was actually quite interesting. And I thought that, for me, thinking of the show as a metaphor for free-range farming made the show more enjoyable, because otherwise, I just don't understand what the point of the show is. I was just like, okay, the people are dying. Why do I care? But like when I think of it as like animals dying, I'm like, oh, there's maybe a message in there. I can somewhat sympathize. See, I can sympathize with animals dying, but not with children, because I'm fucked up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I certainly think that there's a message in the show. I can't fully say whether I know what the message is yet, because I haven't seen the entire story. But if I were to just guess on what the message of this show is supposed to be, or at least the theme of the show is supposed to be, at least the story is supposed to be, I would say that it's the death of innocence and the death of childhood.
Maybe.
Because if you think about it, when you move into adulthood, what's the one thing you have to kill? Your childhood.
Oh, so you're like saying it's kind of like a coming of age thing?
Yeah. And think about it, like, when you really look back on it, all the emotions and shit you feel when you move from childhood into adolescence and then into adulthood, you feel a lot of emotions through that, and it can kind of feel like your old self is dying.
I can see the coming of age thing. I just thought it was way too dramatic to be like to be appropriate for coming of age. And also, why demons? I don't understand what the demons like. If it's free range farming, then the demons are the humans, which kind of makes sense. But then coming of age, who are the demons?
Well, if you think about it, like, what are some nightmares that children have a lot of? They're about monsters coming to eat them.
To eat them.
Coming to yeet them.
Straight off that cliff.
Oh my god.
Straight off that cliff, right into the fucking crevasse.
I guess, but like the monsters control the adults. To me, it's just a very... I don't think it's that... to me, it doesn't make sense.
You don't think it's that deep?
I just don't think it fits the mold of coming of age for me.
I honestly don't even see anything like that in there at all. I feel like it was just
No, you just came for murdering children. That's all you came to this show.
Hell fucking yeah! But no, I feel like it was more entertainment, and there wasn't necessarily a overall message to be sent. It didn't feel like they were trying to get anything across necessarily. Like, maybe if you really looked for it and interpreted something for yourself, that's, I mean, good for you, but I don't
Well,
think they necessarily set out to do anything.
the thing is, like, the Promised Neverland is very similar to stuff like Attack on Titan, and what was the other one? From the New World, and both of those stories have a message they're trying to say about the real world, and like just dystopian stories in general usually have a message they're trying to say about the real world. I think that's like very staple for the genre, but I really didn't see it in The Promised Neverland. I didn't really get any message.
Well, I would add on to what you just said that either it's a message about the real world or about human nature in general.
Oh yeah, it could be
Those dystopian stories.
It could be a message about human nature.
Yeah.
So what did you take away from the show then, Chinoda, if anything?
Murder children.
Um,
He took away Connie's bunny rabbit.
You took away that he prefers MILFs with their hair down.
Yeah, he took away. Yeah, MILFs with their hair down make his pee-pee hard.
no. Specifically with the wind blowing and everything.
Oh God.
Um, honestly, I didn't really take anything away. It was just a piece of entertainment for me. Like
Oh God.
it didn't reach out to me in a way there where it laid a message on me. Just nothing
Well,
like that for me.
I will say that part of my belief that this is a sort of pseudo coming of age sort of story is in its title, Promised Neverland, which itself is a reference to Peter Pan.
So remind me, what is Neverland in Peter Pan's fiction story?
It's a island where kids basically don't grow up
Yeah, it's
and
an
spend
island
all
of
their
where the
time
Lost
playing.
Boys live.
Yeah.
And the people and the apparition that chases the Lost Boys is Captain Hook, who is portrayed as a demon.
Is he portrayed as a
Well,
demon,
more
though?
specifically, an adult than a demon.
Well, he's portrayed as an adult who demonizes little children.
Yeah.
I think you're stretching it. How does he
Well,
demonize
the title
children?
Well,
the title is for
he
sure
literally
a reference
captures
to Peter
them
Pan.
and feeds them to an alligator.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's
Or
no
was it a
An alligator,
crocodile?
an alligator who has a clock in his stomach, who is literally the personification of time eating everything.
Okay. Yeah, obviously there's references. I don't see the demon part. But yeah. Interesting.
I don't know. It's just my belief in that, like that title has to have some meaning, because I don't think you would make a Peter Pan reference unless it was apt. I don't think there's a Peter Pan reference just because there's children in it.
Oh girl, maybe you overestimate Japan. I'm pretty
maybe I
sure there have been like literal references and titles to things just because of like a trivial thing like that.
Maybe you might be right. I think this is something like the whole idea of theme and motivation and stuff. I think we're gonna have to see more of the story to get that, though.
I feel like okay, well, so like the Peter Pan, is that what is it called? What is the actual story called with Peter Pan in it? Or whatever. The Peter Pan story is all about like children going to like a fantasy world where they can be children forever, right?
Well, yeah.
And then I feel like this is
Pretty
kind of
much.
like a twist on that idea, because technically the place where they can be children forever is in the farm. So this might be saying that being a child forever is really a bad idea. Maybe.
Yeah. That you should grow up, take responsibility.
Grow the fuck up. Grow some balls and fucking man up, bitch.
It's certainly possible.
Interesting. See, I thought that The Promised Neverland was going to be, you know how they read those books in the library by that random person that's trying to send them a message?
Mm-hmm.
I thought like that was the promise, and then they're going to the place that that guy is from, and then that would be Neverland. But the farm could be Neverland too, so I'm not sure. But then why would it be promised? See, that doesn't make sense to me.
I think that's the irony of it, is the thing, and they chose the title on purpose. Promise
That could
Neverland,
be
but the promise is never achieved.
Yeah,
But what's the promise?
That you'll
Or
be
actually,
able to
no.
retain your innocence.
Yeah.
No, but that is achieved because you don't ever grow up. Whatever.
Maybe that's the
See-
promise of it. You don't grow up.
I
The
think
Promised
this is an
Neverland.
example. I think this is an example of something that we will have to wait until the second season to maybe get a proper answer on.
Oh, girl.
But
You know
will
it's
the
going to be
title
delayed
even
by
fit
5
on the
years.
second season? They'll have to change the goddamn title to fit the show.
No, they won't.
Oh my god. What's the second season going to be called? Oh my god.
No,
I
I
mean,
seriously doubt
it's-
they'll change it.
The Promise.
I mean, it's-
The Promise Never Ever Land. And then
God,
the
no.
third season will be the Never Ever Ever Land.
The never promised Everland.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so far, Mal just has it listed as Promised Neverland second season.
Boring. No, not even any punctuation. Special
No
characters.
punctuation or nothing. Anyway, I want to wrap this up by talking about some stuff that isn't related to story, that's more related to animation and soundtrack. One of the things that I actually genuinely loved in this show was the animation was most of the time very, very gorgeous. Especially that fire at the end. My God, that was animated really well. But there was a form of motion that was motion animation that was utilized in this anime. It was a CGI effect that showed 3D movement within 2D space, and you saw this a lot of times with people, especially with the children walking down dark corridors. I thought that was utilized very well in the sense that it created tension. I just was curious as to what you guys thought of that.
I never noticed it.
Really,
Link me.
it was really unique looking. I mean, it was essentially 3D animation, but it made it look like it was 3D movement within 2D space.
They definitely
wait, are
had
you
shots here and there which were more unique than it would normally be. Especially some of the first-person views that they used.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Absolutely
talking about.
gorgeous. Yeah.
They were. And that's mostly what I'm referring to. And I thought the way that they utilized that effect was really, really good at building tension. You didn't notice it at all?
No.
That's
Wow.
honestly, you should go back and pay attention to it.
I already told you.
yeah.
I watched this bitch out of order. My brain is all confused.
Listen,
Do
you
you
don't
wanna tell
have
everyone-
to. I mean, it's just notice the details on the specific parts we're talking about. You don't have to watch the
Show-
entire thing.
Do you want to tell everyone why you watched this out of order?
Oh yeah, this is a funny story.
It's
Oh
a
my
funny story. I
God.
think you should tell.
Not that long. My sister watched the show ahead of me on my Crunchyroll account, and then when I went back to watch the show, I'm like, okay, continue where I left off, and then I watched 3/4 of an episode, and I'm like, this kind of makes sense. They didn't really follow up on the stuff that they did from the last episode, but I feel like I'm missing something. Oh no. Oh no.
And that, boys and girls, is why you always pay attention before you click on continue from where you left off.
That's, boys and girls, why you use Mal, and don't rely on Crunchyroll.
Yes. And don't rely on your fucking sister not to put it back to where she left it. Anyway, I don't know. It's a really good effect. I thought they utilized animation to create tension really well in the show. So I definitely praise him for that. The last thing I do want to talk about, though, oh my God, the fucking saxophone in the OP.
Oh, it was so good. I don't think I ever skipped any of the OPs in each episode.
How
and
dare
it's
you.
very rare for me to do that, to not skip a OP. It sounded
Girl.
so fucking good.
You're kind of one of these people that you watch the OP the first time. If you like it, you kind of take note of that. If you don't, you just always skip it.
Pretty much. I'll watch it just to see the visuals, hear the music, and afterwards, I know it. I'll just skip it. But when there's something that's really out there, either musically or visually, or most of the time both, it hooks me, and it's one of those where I just won't skip it because it has an element to it. And
Yeah,
this
I was the
show,
exact same way.
caught it, and oh my God, it was beautiful. Like, the music itself was absolutely fantastic, and then there's the added benefit of the visuals they chose to use. Wow, they blew it out of the
Yeah.
park.
Yeah, and
Without spoilers, too, is the
yeah,
thing.
there were, well,
Slightly, but you really wouldn't notice them unless you were really paying attention.
yeah, I would kind of go with that. Yeah, the one thing I'm really glad they didn't put in the OP was the fucking demons.
Oh,
that
no,
would have
that
really
would've-
given some shit away.
Yeah.
I was annoyed that they put Sister Crone in the OP because like they introduce her like halfway through, and the show is like, oh my god, it's a big cliffhanger that there's gonna be a new mom. I'm like, girl, it's been the OP for the past 10 episodes.
Yeah, that is the shame about it. They should have thought it better and like just change the OP and introduce her in the episode like after they actually show her in the show. But they
Yeah.
didn't, and it was probably for cost cutting measures more than likely.
Maybe.
Which is a shame. More than likely. We don't know for certain is the thing. But just speculation.
Also, just to point out that both of the EDs were also very good too.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean the last thing really to say is that as we've mentioned a couple of times so far, is there is a second season coming in 2020. I assume I'm correct in saying that we're all going to be at least watching it. We're all looking forward to it.
I'm definitely gonna be reading the manga before that happens.
Yeah, I think I might go and read. I'm not sure if I'll read, like, get caught. Is it even finished? I don't even know.
No.
Okay, so here's the thing about the manga. I slightly want to, but at the same time, just because of how they did surprises and twists in the anime, I don't know if I necessarily want to read the manga and then go into the anime knowing everything already.
Oh, funny thing, I didn't read the manga, but I scrolled through the Picture fan art and I got spoiled to some plot twist.
Oh, you don't.
Oh,
But like,
yeah.
I didn't even care. Like, I knew that what's his face, Norman was gonna get shipped away, and also I knew that they were gonna set the house on fire before those things actually happened. But like, I don't really care.
Plot twist: Gilda's glasses have been cameras the whole time.
Oh my God.
LOL.
Everyone asks where the fucking camera's at in this bitch. They're on her fucking face.
Oh my god, that's
No, I'm
funny.
I'm not kidding. I mean, I am kidding. I don't know if that's that. Maybe that is actually happening. I don't know.
We haven't seen technology that advanced, so we don't know.
We haven't
what
really
it's like.
seen much in the way of advanced technology.
Like,
to be
probably
honest.
the most advanced tech we have seen is the tracking devices, I want to say.
Yeah.
Or maybe the homemade stun gun that was made, possibly.
Well, that was just cobbled together. I mean, you can't really call that. It's a combination of multiple technologies into one thing.
True.
Also, speaking of Ray cobbling things together, how the fuck did Ray get like 10 bottles of lighter fluid? Like, what?
Yeah, that seems a little convenient.
I feel like that
Although
was...
they do use oil fueled lamps for a lot of stuff. So I mean, I guess it would make sense to have fuel on hand.
But so much? I don't know.
Yeah,
I
that
know,
seems...
it did seem slightly convenient.
Yeah, I think that was one of those things where they're like, oh yeah, just like, here's a slight explanation. It doesn't really make sense, but it's some explanation. Just go with it.
Like if he had 5 or fewer cans, I could see it. But he had like at least 15.
Yeah, he had like a huge like shipment of it. He got it shipped.
You got like a fucking case of lighter fluid. It's like, bitch, where's UPS at in this app?
Like, let's get this party started.
No, they had an Amazon drone deliver it.
Yeah.
Amazon drone. Oh man, Jeff Bezos mixing it up with the demons. All right, well, is there anything else to say before we finish this up?
I'm looking forward to the next season, and I'm hoping it keeps on track. Well, I hope the momentum keeps going strong. I'm looking forward to it. And I want
Yeah.
to spread it more to more people just to watch their reactions. I spread it to a couple of my friends as it was airing, and oh my god, just watching their faces as the shocking twists and turns happen. Oh, that gave me life, and I
Oh
need to do
my.
it more.
That
sounds like
pro
a-
tip: don't spend any time around Shinoda if you haven't seen an anime. Swiggity swooty, he is coming for your booty.
What the fuck?
Anyway, no, he's coming for the anime booty.
There
Actually,
you
he's
go.
coming for milfs with their hair down.
I mean,
All right, how about you, Sho? You got anything to say?
you
On
lazy
that
piece
lovely
of
note. On that lovely note, number one, you're an asshole, and number two, thank you all out there for dropping in to listen to us. We hope you enjoyed it because we always enjoy bringing this stuff to you. If you want to check out previous episodes of the podcast, you can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, and iTunes. If you want to keep up with what we're doing and have a little more fun, you can join our Discord server, become a member of our Facebook group, follow our Twitch channel, and visit our website. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, criticisms, or concerns on this or any episode, feel free to shoot us an email. Links to all these things will be down below in the description. I have been your host, Alex, and I will see you next time. Say goodnight, everybody.
Remember, kids.
I'm subscribed to
Cannibalism.
Peta's
Stop talking
Facebook
over each
feed.
Remember, kids, cannibalism is illegal, unfortunately.
What?
I'm gonna take him out back and beat him now. Good night, everybody.
We'll be right back.